Welcome back, everybody. We've got some Streets of Capenna. The full set is out. I hope you're ready for a set review. We're going to go over every single card. We're going to go by color, multicolor, artifacts, lands, so on and so forth. Today I'm joined by HearSayTTV and HamHawks42. How are you both doing today?
Fantastically sick.
It's pretty late when we're recording this, so I'm feeling a little sleepy, but I'm looking forward to jumping into these cards. It's very exciting, and I have no doubt that we're going to power through this and have a darn good time doing it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Don't mind my sick voice. Don't worry, it's sexy.
Exactly. You got that bedroom voice going. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Where can the fine folks find you both at?
You can find me at Twitch TV / HearSayTTV Monday to Thursday, Monday, Tuesday in the daytime, Wednesday, Thursday at night. I am Canadian, so Atlantic Eastern, so it's 1 hour ahead of Eastern. I know it's weird, but it's Canada, so we all gotta be weird, right?
And you can find me twitch.tv / hamhawks42. I'm streaming there Monday through Friday, starting around 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also have my own YouTube channel where I put out individual card deep dives, how-to videos, and some more janky build arounds as well. So that's hamhawks42 on YouTube. I'd love to see you over there.
Yeah, all kinds of links in the description below to all their wonderful content and some other additional links as well. So check out the description below. Thank you so much. And we also have a tournament this Sunday. It's a set championship qualifier for the Streets of New Capenna. So
let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Super stoked, super excited.
Only $6 to play. There's cash prizes, there's gem prizes, and of course, first place gets that invite to the set championship for Streets of New Capenna. Only $6 to play. Link also in the description, so definitely check that out. Tons of great gameplay and coverage as well. If you don't necessarily want to play in the event, definitely come check us out. Essentially tomorrow when you see this video. So
and if you miss the Twitch live stream, we will have a video on our YouTube for the top 8.
Yep. Yeah, on Tuesday we'll have a video out for the gameplay of the tournament.
Yes. So hit that subscribe button, smash that bell so you get notified as soon as it comes out.
Exactly.
And you can say in the comments that my voice isn't sexy, but I know you're wrong.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right in here. The first card is pretty much a limited card. We have Angelic Observer, 5 colorless and a white, 3/3 creature, Angel Advisor. This spell costs 1 less to cast. For each citizen you control, it has flying. Basically a limited card. I see this card kind of being in the same veins as the Samurai, that I believe it was 6 colorless and a white mana. For a 4/4 flyer. I think that this is... I see why it's a 3/3 because you're probably going to be able to get it out a lot cheaper considering you have the potential to have more citizens out, considering you can create a lot of tokens. But this card, mostly just a limited card. It's good. 3/3 flyer. How do you guys feel about this limited card?
Yeah, it's a limited card. It's out of my realm.
Yeah, it's definitely a limited card. I mean, the affinity for citizens thing is interesting. Like, I like the idea, and there will be a couple citizen tokens lying around. But I mean, in all likelihood, you're probably going to be casting this for 4, maybe 3, and in the game unlimited, you're feeling really good if you hit that. Even if the perfect situation fires in a constructed situation, and you have 5 citizens, and you can pay for 1, like there are better things you could be doing with that slot in your deck in constructed. So yeah, I'd agree. Limited.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so our next card as well is potentially just another kind of like limited filler card, potentially, considering there's a lot of strong limited cards in this set, but I think that this is probably somewhere in the middle. It's a 2-drop, colorless and a white, backup agent, 1/1, human citizen creature. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Yeah, just usually see this card in green. Now it's in white. Pretty much about it, right?
This card would have been really good for constructed if it had flash.
Agreed.
Yes, I can agree to that.
I think if it had flash, like this would be a sweet include for the mono white aggro list and stuff like that. But with it just being a generic comes out on your turn kind of thing, I think it's just a limited card.
Definitely.
Yeah, seems like a super powered down Luminarch Aspirant, like super powered down. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So our next card here we have Ballroom Brawlers, 3 colorless, 2 white, 3/5 human warrior. Whenever this card attacks, This card and up to one other target creature you control both gain your choice of first strike or lifelink until end of turn. Limited card, but even then, I don't really like this card at 5 mana, maybe 4, and
Yeah,
then
no,
maybe
like
like bring
maybe,
down the stats on it a little bit, but
yeah, like I even think that at 4 mana,
yeah,
it being a 3/5 is fine. This is a limited card. Like
yeah, it's
as much
just
as you're like, oh, like this is pretty sweet ability, but limited.
Yeah, it has an attack trigger, so it wants to be aggressive, but its stats look more defensive at a 3/5. And yeah,
Mhm.
5 is just a little too expensive for it. So I don't know. It's a fun idea, but yeah, it's limited, and it's even there. It's probably like a C level limited card where it's just kind of like a filler you're not mad at, but you're not going to prioritize this in the draft.
Yeah.
so Ballroom Blitz doesn't get the card it deserves.
Not quite, unfortunately.
The Blitzkrieg bot.
Exactly.
All right. So the next thing we have here is a common. Boon of Safety, 1 white, instant. Put a shield counter on target creatures, scry 1. So essentially this is God's Willing.
Yeah.
Pretty
Kinda,
much
yeah.
like a pseudo God's Willing shield counter. If you don't know, we're gonna go over it. If that creature will be dealt damage or destroyed, remove the shield counter from it instead. So the best way to get around shield counters are like sacrifice effects. I mean, this card, yeah, you might see it. I don't think that you'll see it. I don't know. It's not. It's just limited. Good
Yeah.
limited trick. It's not even better than God's Willing for
But
constructed.
even then, tricks and limited are kind of rough,
Yeah.
because how
There
many
is that.
slots do you
Yeah.
have in the deck to actually include
Yeah.
something like this?
I think this is
Yeah.
a flavor miss card for sure because like I can't see the artwork. It's Falco Spara? I'm assuming it's in there,
Yes.
right? Is Falco is the leader of who?
The brokers, the band.
The brokers.
Yep.
So I really wish I get it. I get that it's target creature, but like, is this pitcher not planeswalking right now? So like I'm like, because that looks like Kamigawa in the background, is it not? The pinks and blues and the
Yeah, it actually
purples,
kind of does look
It
like
kind of
some
does.
neon.
Yeah, that's a good
right?
call.
So like, I can't like I'm like, why doesn't it say target creature or planeswalker?
The
That would be huge.
The flavor text says that they're saving someone's life. Saving a stranger's life is an excellent recruitment method. Luckily, Peril is so easy to come by. Falco.
Yeah.
So,
So I
I
mean, like, I
mean,
really feel like this should have said target creature or planeswalker.
It would be so much better. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
think
could
it'd
see
be really good.
Planeswalker kind of. I think maybe they couldn't. Maybe shield counters. I guess the way it's worded,
yeah.
it would be the same, right?
Yeah, it's just if it's dealt damage, you remove the shield counter. Like that's just it. It's
Okay.
not like it dies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your opponent could still shock the planeswalker and pop the shield counter off of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that definitely being a thing. It would probably be like one of the first times that we've ever seen
Like
outside of, make it
Planeswalker
permanent
protection.
indestructible. Yeah, Planeswalker
Yeah.
protection. Like that actually would be really interesting. That's a good point.
And it would
Yeah.
make a lot of sense because there's a lot of great planeswalker removal running around out there right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like that's definitely a miss, but
All
I
right.
think it's a good card, but it's a combat trick, and most combat tricks don't find their way through into standard, but
Mhm.
definitely into limited for sure. Like this isn't gonna like replace Blizzard Brawl.
Right. When you have options like, I mean, if you're in the Bant colors, or something like that, if you have access to Tameo Thief Keeping and Snakeskin Veil, you're not going to run this. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Mono White maybe, but the fact that it doesn't have any kind of power buff is really a downside there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I just don't think
it's
it does
mostly
enough.
just like a limited card.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. If you're running I want to see a situation where I'm running a combo and being able to protect it in white. If that kind of situation exists, maybe, but like as a white counter spell to prevent a destroy effect, like to prevent an Infernal Grasp or something like that, it could be nice, but that's very situational.
Yeah. So
And it's not just I guess yeah, because you can attack into it. It's still dealt damage. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
I digress.
Anyway,
Let's
yeah,
get to the next card.
So our
let's
next
keep
card
moving.
here, we have Brokers Initiate. 1 white, 0/4 Cat Citizen. 4 colorless, green, blue. This card has base power and toughness 5/5. Another limited card. I mean, I would probably, maybe not play it. Nah, probably not. Just filler card. How do you guys feel?
Yeah. unless I'm going hardcore citizen tribal, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Yeah, these kind of effects that are even on a 1-drop where you have a body that is okay but kind of forgettable, and then you add some kind of incredibly high mana sink into it. There was a time when those were good and limited, and I think that's just way in the past. Like I don't think something like this.
I think the 5
it anymore.
cost is too much. I think it would have been fair at like 3 or 2. Maybe 3 would have been too much, like 2 colorless and the hybrid. Maybe it needs to be 3. I think
2
5 is
unlimited
just
would have been too good.
yeah.
I think this card you would play it in constructed if it was 2, because you're coming in for 5 on turn 2, and then potentially for 5 again on turn 3. You're just like,
oh, well, not on turn 2. I mean like 2 colorless and the hybrid. So turn 3.
Okay,
right?
I gotcha. Yeah. That's probably still too good for limited though. Even
I think for limited, yeah, but I think at 3, I think it would have been fair. I just think I don't like. I think this is the kind of card you like. I don't do limited, but I'm assuming that this is kind of the card that you would draft because you're like, it's there. Like
pretty much.
I'm not looking for the Broker's Initiate.
Yeah.
If I'm in white and there are 3 cards left in the pack, that's the only one of my colors. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not mad at it, but I'm not prioritizing this at all. Yeah, probably won't make the cut going into the deck most of the time.
Definitely. Okay, so our next card here we have Buy Your Silence, 4 colorless white. Sorcery, exile target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a treasure token. I think the downside to this card outside, so in limited this is still okay most of the time because it's any permanent, so I think that's really good. I think the problem with it is that you're giving downside to a card that already has downside. So
it's
I
already
think that
5 mana.
Yeah, if you created the treasure, then that would make a lot more sense, because then 4 mana, you don't feel as bad, right? You're at least getting a mana back and have some synergies with the treasure, but I think Magic's, like, even limited is getting away from 5 mana blow anything up. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I mean, giving your opponent a resource, essentially, isn't looking good for this card, even in limited.
Yeah. The only upside, the only positive of this is that it isn't common. So when you're drafting, you will see it. You will have the option to grab it. And if you're short on removal and you just need something, it's fine. But when you compare it to something like Minimus Containment from AFR that basically does the same thing for 3, it's like, this just
I think honestly, I think like the only good thing about this card is its flavor text.
Mikey the Mouth kept his nickname after he struck his deal with Gregorio, even though he never spoke another word. I like that. Yeah, that's fun.
I just like the mobsters, like, you know, like, what is it? You got to get the clamps. You get the clamps. It's
you get
like
the clamps.
Mickey the Mouth.
Exactly, Mickey the Mouth. Yeah.
All right. So our next card here, Celebrity Fencer, 3 colorless and a white for a 3/2. It has Alliance, which, if you don't know what Alliance is, essentially, when a creature comes into play, there is an effect. Not going to be the card that has Alliance, but another creature coming into play. This specifically says whenever another creature enters the battlefield, put a counter on this card. I think it's fine. It's another card that you're not really going to go out of your way. I think it's like a fine playable. I don't think it's like ridiculous or anything.
A limited card.
Yeah.
Like 100. Like I can't like. This is like, you're not running this in standard.
Like, this definitely is a constructed card. It's just straight limited. I think in limited, if you're playing your citizen deck, I think it's good because if you're able to just generate tokens, things like that, it's fine. I think in like your basic deck that isn't necessarily that synergistic with Alliance, I think it's like an okay card, but it's not like it's not going to push your deck over the top or anything like that. And there's some commons that do, but this definitely isn't one of them. I think it's good though. I think it's
also viewers with this Alliance ability. I'm challenging someone to build a law-abiding citizens deck. That has to happen.
Okay, that's a fun idea. I like it. I mean, yeah, to kind of hammer home the point that this is definitely for limited, like a good playable in limited, because at the end of the day, you just need big creatures half the time to just close out a game. And if the Celebrity Fencer goes unchecked, it can become pretty sizable. But even in the perfect situation in constructed, let's say you get a Scoot Swarm out and you put 100 tokens onto the battlefield at once. All right, great. Celebrity Fencer is now huge, but it doesn't have trample, it doesn't have evasion. It can still get chump blocked all day, and it does die to any targeted removal. Not that that's a reason to, not play a creature. But yeah, the payoff is just not good enough. And starting at a 3/2 for 4 is just way too easy to pick off before you get an opportunity to take advantage of that alliance trigger.
Yeah, that 2
Mhm.
toughness definitely
Mm-hmm.
that shock range definitely hurts, you know.
It's definitely in shock range. As someone who tried to make Delina work, I know the difficulties of shock range. I get it. Yeah. Anyway, it's a story for another day.
Our next card I actually think is good. I don't know if it's going to get played in constructed, but Citizen's Crowbar, a colorless and a white artifact equipment. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token, then attach this card to it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has a white. Tap, sacrifice this card. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Equip 2. How do we... I
Can we
actually
just,
like this card.
Can we just like take a second to thank Wizards for giving us a crowbar?
Right. Just smash
It's
it
a
into the
fancy one
crowbar.
too. I love it. Yeah.
I also think this is a good card, and I do want to speculate that I think this is going to be like a 2 of in constructed, because it's making a 2/2 because it automatically equips to the 1/1 citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So you make a 1/1, so you're making a creature. It's going to be a 2/2, and then it has pay 1 black to destroy an artifact or enchantment. I mean, this is going to kill the Kiki-Jikis. This is going to kill the runes. Like this is pretty huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. It's efficient. It gets you a body on board, and you don't even have to lose the body
Yeah.
to activate the ability. You lose the crowbar, and the body it gets downgraded to a 1/1. But if you care about citizen tribal, then you get to take advantage of that still.
Or
there are a
you
couple
like
other citizen payouts,
you still have the crowbar. Say you lose the creature, say you block, right? And
Right.
you still have the crowbar to put it onto another token. That token's
Right.
going to get a +1/+1 and still have this ability. So I think this is I think this is a cool card, especially like with all the enchantments that we have running around, like Wedding Announcement, Kiki-Jiki, anything in
Chariot.
friggin' room.
Anything that's an
Chariot,
artifact,
yeah.
you know?
Chariot, like, you know, there's I think this card is gonna see some play for sure.
Yeah. Well, and actually, my favorite part about this card is that your opponent sees it coming. So if they have a Nasiga's Chariot in hand and you have a Citizen's Crowbar just sitting on the field, like they have
They're
that
like,
question of,
"Fuck, I
okay,
can't play
do I
this."
play this?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. I can't play this.
I can't play it. I can't afford to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, actually, I'm a huge fan of this card. Kasali Primage has come a long way. The number of times it's been printed over, you know, different types of creatures, different types of things. Especially if you don't know, Kasali Primage is this old card that was a gold card, a white-green 2/2. You sacked it to destroy artifact or enchantment, had Exalted. This essentially is the same thing. It's giving Exalted by being an equipment, and then when you don't need it, you know, maybe not when you don't need it, but when you need it to destroy something that's like, you know, a troublesome permanent on the other side of the opponent's board, you're able to do that. I think that the more that we talk about this card, the more I am actually sold that this actually could see constructed play, if not main deck, then sideboard play, right?
I think I would definitely say like sideboard play. I don't know if I'd main deck it. Like maybe it's main deckable, but like, what are you taking out of most of the decks that the cards are already kind of set in stone, and we already know what kind of cards are running with New Capenna. So I definitely think it's definitely going to be like a 2 of on the side and being like, all right, I need to get rid of this.
Could be a citizen deck. Could be Bant, could be Naya. I mean, there could be all kinds of, you know, could be decks that
And
come
like
out where
it
this
is
good.
like that looks like Jetmir, like that looks like it's in that looks like Naya.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
going
I
in with
would
the
imagine.
citizens.
I think the most citizen synergy we're gonna see is in Naya. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this card's great. I think so definitely great limited card. You definitely high pick. Constructed potential. High constructed potential for this card.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So our next card here is essentially
Makes me
another limited card here. 3 colorless white Dapper Shieldmate 2/2. This card enters the battlefield with a shield counter as long as it's your turn. It gets +2/+0. Just your mono white card that has indestructible the set whenever it attacks type card, or for in this instance essentially the shield counter is the theme for this clan.
I can't get over this art. The artwork makes you laugh so much because it's supposed to be dapper, but all I can picture in my mind is that they're wearing a loincloth.
Right.
That part of the suit is a little extreme, yeah.
It's like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like what suit even has that piece like that.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
think those
kind
the
of
like the
questionable.
assless chaps? Just like covering.
I always found that expression interesting because, like, I always thought that like chaps with an ass were just called pants. But anyway, yeah, so assless chaps. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, is that a cummerbund gone horribly wrong? I don't know. Like, I have no idea what's going on there.
Or maybe they're wearing like an apron. Like this is actually like I don't want to say a server. What else are they called? When there's a bunch of them, I can't remember what they're called.
Hostesses.
Yeah.
Maybe like I can't. There's a word for it. I don't know. I can't remember the word. Like, and you know, like when you go to a fancy function and there's a bunch of people with like trays of food and stuff.
Right.
Like there's a word for that profession.
I have not been. Well, you mean caterers? Is that the
Caterer? There you
Yeah,
go.
yes.
There
Yeah.
you go,
Yeah, he's catering. He's catering something, and yeah.
Catering that loincloth.
But yeah,
But I think it
Scar's,
speaks
like,
volumes. I think it speaks volumes that the most interesting part of this card is the wardrobe and the artwork. Like, yeah, it's
just
fine.
a potential
It's a
limited
common
card.
filler card.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it costs 3, I'd like it way more because I think the shield counter can go a long way, but not 4 mana for a 2/2 long way. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it's a 4/2 on your turn.
sure, that's not nothing, but I'm still not impressed.
Yeah, that don't impress me much.
Exactly.
So our next card is actually really good. Depopulate. 2 colorless, 2 white, sorcery. Each player who controls a multicolored creature draws a card, then destroy all creatures. Wrath of God's back. Wrath of God with a slight downside if your opponents, most of the time, probably are going to be playing multicolored creatures, considering the last few sets had some, and this set specifically is multicolored themed, so I feel like the potential to see this card draw a card for
Shadow of the Sky was
both
the 4 mana
players is
wipe
going to
that you
be
draw.
crazy,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, Shadow of the Sky was very similar. It was a 4 mana wrath that each player that controlled a
4 or
creature with
greater.
power 4 or greater, I think it was, drew a card.
Yeah.
And this is very similar to that. In the
I think this is
design
honestly. I think this is better. This card will see a lot of play in Alchemy, Standard, and
Mhm.
Historic. This is going to be widespread. I think this is a lot better, honestly, when it comes to a board wipe because there's a lot of monocolor decks out there.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are in Naya, or you're in Esper, or whatever have you, like the creatures that you are gonna have are most of the time single colored.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's very true. Well, and you think of board wipes, the aggro decks are going to get hit by them the most. If you're
Yeah.
going up against mono white aggro, mono green aggro, mono red aggro, some flavor of that, a 4 mana board wipe is going to be really, really important. And
Yeah.
they don't draw cards. Meanwhile,
And they don't draw.
if you're running a multicolor something that happens to get hit by this, you get to draw a card. That's kind of nice. So that's potential upside for you, which is cool. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, I see myself destroying my own Rafine quite a lot with this and being like, at least I get to draw a card.
Yep, I can see that.
Yeah, you stall the board a little bit and then get a nice redraw. Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, wow, each player, and on top of that, like, I don't know, 4 mana board wipe. I mean, Wrath of God, every time I see a 4 mana board wipe, I'm like, wow, we're at that point again in Standard where we need a 4 mana board wipe to kind of calm some things down.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. It's like Standard's winning on turn 3 and turn 4. It's like, okay, let's slow this down.
Exactly. Yes, that voice line that we all know. We know it. I'm just not. Yeah, don't. Yeah.
We're not gonna speak of its name.
Yeah. No, I was like, do you know Anne Love? No, we know it. Yeah. All right.
All right. So our next card we have here. So we went over this in one of our spoiler videos. Elspeth Resplendent. I'm so wishy-washy about this card. I'm up and down on it. 3 colorless, 2 white. Legendary Planeswalker Elspeth, 5 loyalty, +1. Choose up to 1 target creature. Put a counter, and put a +1/+1 counter and a counter from among flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance on it. Look at the -3. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from among them on the battlefield with a shield counter. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. in a random order. -7, create 5 3/3 white angel creature tokens with flying. The more that I read it, you know, it
Stop
does
it.
protect itself
Stop
in
it.
the second one, right? I mean,
This
does it
is
have a chance, you know?
I don't okay, so I think in some plays of constructed, maybe. Like I said in our spoiler videos, I just don't see this card. It's a 5 mana comes into play. So what you're +1, what are you doing? You're gonna put a counter on a creature you already have, okay? That's not really protecting. If it was like a shield counter that +1 was a shield counter, then sure. Now I get that the -3 can do that, but that there's even though you're looking at 7 cards, it's still with potential. Um, and like you could hit like not a creature, like you could hit an enchantment, an artifact, um, a planeswalker at 3 mana. Like you know what I mean? Like it just, I don't know. I'm not too high on this card. I'm really not. Like I don't. I've been trying to like think of ways of how I would brew it and like what deck I would put it in. I mean, like what are you like? What deck would you put this in?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's not gonna go in UI
Yeah.
control. It's not gonna go into like Naya tokens. I mean, we already have tons of really good 5 mana planeswalkers. Like let's look at Kaya. Kaya's removal, and it's a reoccurring threat. Like it puts was it it puts that ghost counter or was it is it a ghost
Yeah, I
counter?
think
Ghost
it's a
form. Yep.
ghost counter,
Ghost form counter.
yeah.
Right. So like that in itself was like that this dies and it comes back to my hand. Like that is good at 5 mana and it's almost on it's you never see it anywheres.
Yeah, I think the biggest knock against Elspeth is that it's 5 mana. Like there's
Yeah,
the
it's
fact that
five
she's
mana.
5 mana.
I think
That's
if
really
it was at
the main
4, it
issue.
would have been. I think this would have been 100% playable. But at 5, no.
Yeah, I've actually gotten into some interesting conversations with members of my community about this, and we've because I've butted heads on this one with a couple of folks, and here's I'm more on your side where I don't think it has a good home in our current standard. Things are just too
Mhm.
fast for a 5 mana planeswalker to really make it happen. But the -3 could be powerful in the right deck with a lot of low cost options. I mean, that could hit a Fable the Mirror Break, that could hit a it could hit a Kaito, it could hit all like you can pull some really cool stuff onto the battlefield with that.
Mhm.
But then you're left with a 2 loyalty planeswalker that you want to get some value out of, and you may or may not have a way to protect her. The other
Like the
thing
only
is,
thing, like I was like thinking, like, the
yeah,
only thing I can kind of see is like maybe it goes, maybe it's a 2 of in mono white because you
maybe,
can hit like a Cathar, like you're getting an ETB effect out of it. You can get a Cathar, Skyclave, Spellbinder,
yeah, that'd be pretty
but
sick.
outside of that, like I just don't know. I don't know.
There is one other card that we're going to be talking about when we get to the artifacts. The combos with Elspeth very, very nicely, and that is Luxior, Giada's Gift.
Mhm.
That card alongside Elspeth could get nasty because of the +1. But at the end of the day, what you end up with is one creature with a ton of counters. Some of them are keywords, some of them are +1/+1 counters, and most of them are loyalty. And you just end up with a monstrous creature with flying and lifelink or something like that, which could be a lot of fun, but it is a 2 card combo. So and one of them is a 5-drop planeswalker. So that's probably more jank territory than competitive territory,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna try it. Sounds like fun. I don't know if it's good or not, but it definitely sounds like a fun time.
I definitely like the plus. Out of the +1s, I like that you can bump something up, but I don't really care too much about the first strike. I know I know that it can be relevant. Lifelink is obviously relevant, Visions, but I think that the creme of the creme of the +1 is giving flying.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a
The
big
fact
deal.
that you can just like go over top, then I think like that's kind of where it has its potential. But I just can't see it. Not at five
Yeah.
mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I said we'll see. I've been wrong before,
I,
many times.
I'm up and down on it. Like I definitely see a lot of the negatives. I see a lot of the positives. I almost feel like I wanted this card to have a fourth ability. If it just
Like an
had
ultimate.
one more, because so my thing about this card is that the -3 is almost too much, because if you're trying to get, this is a planeswalker that you're almost trying to get to the ultimate. But if you are
Yeah.
trying to get to the ultimate, you almost can't even minus it once, because like just +1 for, I don't know, 5 or 6 more turns after that seems like a lot, right?
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
So there isn't real like
Yeah.
a big payoff to this card outside of the fact that potentially you could look at it as, okay, I'm going to be able to -3 a couple times and get 2 other permanents into play. But I mean, you know, Storm the Festival doesn't even get played anymore. So, does white Storm the Festival get played? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really seem, for a Planeswalker Mythic 5 mana, it's not. I don't think you're getting enough for 5 mana, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in our current standard, you got to think like every card is doing multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
We've had this talk before where it's like literally every card is doing multiple things. Look at Kikijiki, it's creating a body. It's a blocker and it's attacker. When it attacks, it creates a treasure. Then it goes into the next stage. It's a looter. Then it goes to the next stage and it becomes another creature. Then it can copy other creatures and gives it haste. Like these cards that we have in standard do so much. To have a 5 mana do nothing for 2 turns is pretty brutal.
Very true. All right, so our next card on the list here, we have a rare.
I love this card.
Yeah, me too.
2 colorless and a white, 3/2 lifelink extraction specialist, human rogue. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It can't attack or block as long as you control this card. I agree with you guys. This card, it also has lifelink. This card is just like, I don't know, it seems really good.
This card is nuts. This card
really
is
good.
going in. I know that the 3 mana slot in mono white aggro is pretty taken up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I see this as a 2 in their list because being able to bring back cards like Thalia, bringing back cards like the Aspirant, bringing cards back like that is an ETB trigger like
the dog, the Spirited Companion.
Yeah, Spirited
even.
Companion.
There's the Spirited Companion, but then there's also the what am I thinking of, guys? The Adversary.
Oh, the Intrepid Adversary. You're right. You could bring that back. If you have extra
bring that
mana
back.
lying around, you could.
Yeah, you can pump it up. Yeah, that's actually very true.
Right, and now you get 2 creatures that are massive lifelinkers.
Right.
Yeah, I think this card is really, really good, and I think it's balanced very friggin' perfectly with it saying that creature can't attack or block as long as it's in play. I kind of wish one thing, because I mean, this creature is obviously protecting the creature that you bring back. I think, like flavor wise, I would have loved it to say like, creature you bring back has a shield counter as long as you have extraction specialist, and if a shield counter would be removed, you actually kill the specialist instead.
That's a fun idea. I don't know if the text box. I mean, that'd be a lot of words.
It'd be a lot of words, but I mean, like
mechanically, that'd be really fun. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I agree that this card is going to be great. One interaction that I do want to point out that I think is really fun is when it says, as long as you control extraction specialist, it is referring to the permanent that you put onto the battlefield that turn. If you were to blink extraction specialist with something like a teleportation circle, or in older formats, an ephemerate, if you blink the extraction specialist and then it comes back in, you get the ETB trigger again. And as far as that other creature that you just reanimated with it is concerned, you no longer control extraction specialist because it comes into play as a new permanent. So if you want to unlock that thing, just do some blinky shenanigans and you can get there. So is that a good loop? I don't know, but it's fun, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here to find the fun. But I think you're right. The extraction specialist in the white aggro shell, there's so many just killer 2-drops. Being able to recur them on a 3 mana body is huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this card. I think that this is the most pushed we've seen for like this type of effect on a card. We see this type of effect a ton on all kinds of 3-drop white creatures every set. But I actually think that this is the one that has the highest potential to get there. Mostly because of everything that you guys are talking about. Like, if you have those creatures that have those extra effects, then you don't care that it can attack or block. I mean, you're getting a counter every turn. You're making the non-creature spells cost more mana. You're getting back a card with value. On top of that, you're happy to trade because, 3 power is not bad. It's going to trade with most things. Lifelink even better. Yeah, you're going to gain life. Like, yeah,
you know what this reminds me of? I feel like this is fixed Luris.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from
the
this.
one-shot Luris.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I can
It's
see
like,
that.
okay, we get it. We messed up. but
Here, you can
How
have
about
this
this one?
card.
Better? Like, yeah, we'll take that. Yeah.
yeah,
Luris Specialist.
Exactly.
All right, so our next card here.
I think this next card, I think in my mind, I think is a limited bomb. If you can get multiple of these, I think this card is freaking bonkers.
Yeah, this card's great. Gathering Throng, 2 colorless and a white, 3/1 human citizen. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any number of cards named this card, Gathering Throng, reveal them, put them into your hand and shuffle. So we got our first edition of the Throng song. With
the Throng.
I forget what it was, that Crimson Bow. I'm sorry. It was Crimson Bow, right? Where that card came out, but it was in the Innistrad, the little mini block there. This card is better actually. For what you're doing, you're getting a bunch of, essentially you're drawing cards off of this card. If you have
you're drawing cards.
Yeah, if you have 1 card in your deck, you're drawing 1. If you have 2, you're drawing 2, etc., etc. In limited, I agree with you. I actually think this card's a great payoff for your citizen deck. You could just make more citizens, or even later in the game, you just play this, and if you get 1, you get value. If you get 2 or more, I mean, 3 power is pretty good for 3 mana.
Yeah, well, we see how good the Legion Angel is by being able to go get 3 of them out of your sideboard. How about if you're drafting? Now, again, I don't draft or play limited a lot, but I just see this as, I'm pretty sure in limited, right? You can put as many cards as you drafted, right?
Yeah, you can play with like 6 or 7 of these if you have them.
You can have 6 of these, right? So you can just draft all of these, and then you go, yeah, draw 5 cards.
It's possible.
And
I don't know. I mean, and it's a common, so that's not like crazy to think that could happen. Yeah.
I was like, it's draw the however many cards, but it's not just like draw nonsensical cards. You're drawing a 3/1 creature that's like, it's gonna block most things, like trade most things.
Yeah, no, and that's what I saw too. I was like, oh, this is if they printed Legion Angel at common. This is what you get, and that's a good effect. So yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it's gonna be rock solid in that type of situation.
Yeah, it's just, you don't have to get all the ones in your deck at once. You can get like a couple, and then later in the game when you're running out of cards, you can get like your other 2, your other 3, whatever. Like this card just, it scales really well. Obviously if you only have 1, it's actually just a really bad card. But
yeah,
1's fine. 1 makes the card definitely playable because you just play it and go get your other one, or vice versa. But like, the more that you have, the better. I play a good amount of limited. I really like this card. Gonna be interesting to see what archetype this card is in. I do see it sliding into the Naya one just because it's like citizen. That's Cabaretti, but I mean, yeah, mostly just limited card. I like
it. Right? They're parodying.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like in the background, I'm pretty sure that's the Cabaretti Hall, anyways, right? Like, or what's the land called?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, they got some Halo. Looks like they're about to drop a tab of Halo.
Drop a tab of Halo. That's not Halo, man. Halo's blue, isn't it?
Yeah, but Halo's not a drug. It's not a drug, everybody. It's not.
Halo's not a drug. It's bathwater.
Halo's not a drug. It's just a substance that increases your magical powers. That's in rare supply and runs the criminal underworld. But it's not a drug. Anyway,
it's angel essence, aka angel bathwater. So
angel bathwater, of course.
But it's not a drug though.
I love it. All right, so our next card here, Giada, Font of Hope. My goodness, this is I'm a big fan of this card. This card slaps.
I agree.
1 colorless and a white, 2/2 legendary creature, angel. The big part for me was legendary creature. Good thing it's legendary.
Thank goodness. Yes.
Flying vigilance. Each other angel you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control. Tap, add a white, spend this mana only to cast angel spells. Wow, this card. Yeah, it's a crazy card, right?
Yeah, so
it's bonkers.
I was saying to Ham, I was like, as much as I love this card, and if you guys know me, I love the Angels deck. I want to say that it's my baby and historic that I played a lot. I think this is what's gonna make Angels a real threat. I think we're gonna see this card in Alchemy. I have a hard time seeing in standard though. I really have a hard time seeing in standard because angels, there's so much removal and everything else. And what makes angels really powerful in historic and in alchemy is you have cards like Coco in historic, and then you have the captain in alchemy, which are both like interchangeable Coco effects. Look at the top, put a creature in the play. So like those pair really well. I'm trying to think like it's standard. It's a lot of fair magic, as it was, like you're playing out one spell. You're not like, like you get to do your Giada, and then in the turn 3, what are you playing down? Probably, hopefully, a Legion Angel if you have it, and then it's gonna get. Yeah. Does it count itself? Or say other?
Yeah, it counts itself. So if you play a Legion Angel, it'll just get one. 4? Yeah, it'll just get one counter. Yep. And then the next angel you play would get 2. The next angel you play get 3, so on and so forth.
So, like, I don't know. I think that this is going to be an instant removal. Like, this is going to scream, this has to go. As much as I love that it's flying, I love that it's vigilance. I love that it's a mana dork. Like, I don't want to call it a mana dork because it's not. It doesn't tap for like spell mana. It taps for specific costs.
Yeah, these are all fair points for sure. And you're right. This is going to be a lightning rod for removal. Mm-hmm. It's going to take, if your opponent has a kill spell or any kind of burn spell, it's coming out immediately the moment she hits the field. There's no doubt about that. But I think that's a good indicator that the card's really freaking good. Because if it goes unchecked, the game's over. Like, or the game can be over if you got some follow-up angels. And Legion Angel is definitely probably, I don't know about the best case scenario for turn 3 with her down, but it's up there. That'd be fantastic.
How much the other one I'm thinking is alchemy gets changed to once per turn.
Right. Yeah. No, but what I'd love to see is, just even on turn 3, just putting on a Righteous Valkyrie and having it come into play as a 3/5, and any other angel after that is going to get even bigger, and their toughness is going to be higher, so you gain more life off them. Like, that synergy could be truly disgusting if the right angel curve can be established. One of the challenges with that, though, is a lot of the great angel payoffs that we have right now are spells that create angels. We have Fjord's Retribution, which is an enchantment. We have Rampage of the Valkyries, which is an enchantment as well. We have Starnheim Unleashed. We have Amiria's Call, which are sorceries. Like, those cards are great, and they produce a lot of angels, which is ultimately what we want, and they give you cool things when angels are down. However, you can't tap Giada to cast those spells. Because they aren't angel spells. So to your point, she's not really a mana dork in that regard. If having Giada meant I could throw Giada, get a Legion Angel on turn 3, and then a Rampage of the Valkyrie on turn 4. Get out of here. That's amazing.
So
but
here's my question.
You can play Lisa. Lisa's good though too.
Lisa's good one. Yeah.
I'm reading the card, and I'm trying to think of how it works. So say you had, say you had Starnheim Unleash. You make 4 angels. Do they see each other at the same time?
Yeah, they see each other at the same time. Everything triggers at once. So they'll count it for just one less or whatever. They'll just count it one less for themselves,
Yeah, so would it be like one angel gets 1 counter, then the next angel comes in and gets 2 counters, next angel comes in and gets 3 counters, next angel comes in and gets 4?
No, they'd all enter simultaneously, so they'd all get 3, if I'm not mistaken. Well, and plus a 4th for Giada. Is that right?
I think that they would all get the counters. They would all see themselves at once, so they would all get the counters at once. So if you have 2 angels out and then you Starnheim for 4, they would all come in with 5.
Because you have 6 of them out, they don't count themselves. I guess my question is, would they come in with 5 or would they come in with 1?
They would come in with 5.
Giada reads when it comes into play, angels you already control. So if you only control Giada, does you only?
I see what you're saying because of that wording specifically. Yes.
That's a good question.
I think you're actually right on that. I think I see what you're saying now. The way that it's worded probably is, let's see, when each angel you control enters with you already control. Yes, so they wouldn't. That is correct. They wouldn't all see each other. They would only get the 1 counter from the Giada. So if you made 4 angels off Starnheim and you only had Giada, they'd only get 1. It's not worded like each angel comes into play with a +1/+1 counter for each angel you control. it says you
Yeah.
already
Right.
control. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think
Like you're, yeah.
Hearsay makes the biggest point about this card is that's the biggest word in the text there is already
Yeah.
control. Good,
Yeah.
Alan,
Which
good shout there.
I gotta say, I find that really frustrating. And I think you're correct on that. I just find it frustrating that Giada does not like Giada's marquee ability doesn't synergize with all of the stuff we got from Kaldheim around Angels, with the exception of Righteous Valkyrie. Like, but pretty much everything else. I mean, there are a couple of just generically good black, black and white angel creatures like Liesa, like you mentioned, and I mean, who knows? Like there's the Black Valkyrie. What is it? The Valkyrie Avenger, I think it's called. I'm freaking the one with protection from Planeswalkers. Maybe that has an opportunity to shine in the current meta that it never really got
Yeah, you
before.
could
I don't
ramp it
know.
out faster. Like
You could ramp that
there's
sucker out really fast, and
Yeah.
your opponent couldn't use the Wanderer to get rid of it. So that there might be something there. I don't know. This is a card I'm definitely gonna
powerful, right?
experiment
Like
with.
the card just reads strong. It just has everything going for it. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't get played, specifically even, the formats I Hearsay saying like Historic and Alchemy. In Standard, I feel like this could be like a seed where this is here right now for Standard, and then, maybe like in 2, 3, 4 sets, we'll see some more Angels that help this card kind of shine a little bit more and actually start to get played. Right before probably Valkyrie rotates.
I can't wait to
Yeah.
see the card that's gonna be like, if you would get a counter instead, put a shield counter on it.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
man, yeah, and then your Angels all come in with shield counters. That seems really good.
Potentially a lot of shield counters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. I like
So
it.
yeah, at the end of the day, yeah,
But
pretty much a
card's good.
first pickable
Right.
card in limited because it's still 2-mana 2/2 flyer that has the potential to ramp you or even buff or more Angels if you have them in constructed. This is a card that has the potential to pretty much be like an all-star, depending on what cards are around it at that time. All right.
Speaking of Angels, our next card.
So our next card
proves it's
Halo.
bathwater. I am going to use the washroom right quick though, so enjoy the talk between him and Hollywood.
Oh, I was gonna say we can just cut if you want. We can just cut it.
No, keep it going.
Okay.
We can keep it going, man. I have some thoughts on Halo Phone. We can talk about it.
Keep talking. You guys, I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's all good, man. All right.
So
All right.
Halo Fountain, 2 colorless and a white artifact. 1 white, tap it, untap a tap creature you control, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. 2 white, tap it, untap 2 tapped creatures you control, draw a card. 5 white, tap it, untap 15 tapped creatures you control. You win the game. I don't know. I'm a fan of the card myself just because I don't know what real potential the card has. But essentially I'm only looking at the first 2 abilities. I'm not looking at the ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate is really, I can imagine the ultimate being like crazy relevant in Commander, but that's it. Outside of Commander, I can't imagine a situation, or unless like Turbo Fog becomes a thing and your opponent is able to just completely stonewall your attacks for some reason. Then maybe it could be useful as like an alternate way for an aggressive deck to actually win the game. But we're not in metas, either in Standard or Historic. Like there's some janky brews that run like Haze of Pollen and things like that in Historic, but that's really off the beaten path. So I wouldn't tech against that by any means. But I think the first 2 abilities on Halo Fountain are really good. Because at first, when I first read it, I was like, oh, okay, pay a white, tap a tap creature. Wait a minute. I thought it was tap a creature to get the citizen, but no, you untap a tapped creature to get that citizen. That's a big deal. Yeah, and the fact that the second ability is capable of untapping 2 tapped creatures to draw a card. So if you have a mana dork that can produce multiple white mana, which is actually not as hard as you might think. There are a couple of them in Standard right now. The one is escaped me right now. There's a card from Strixhaven where you can create mana of any color equal to the amount of life you've gained in a turn. So
Mike, would this go into I'm hearing you guys, and
yeah,
would this go in Historic with like Kinnan?
Potentially, yeah.
Because you can tap 2, like say like Kinnan and what's the druid that gets hexproof?
Paradise Druid?
Paradise Druid.
Yep.
Because you tap it for 2 white, and then you tap this, you untap it. Oh, but you just have to tap. This taps.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that you have to tap the Halo fountain.
But no,
yeah.
put it in. No. Check it.
Paradox engine.
That combo that you're talking about does exist. I want to find the right card. I want to make sure I'm not talking out of school. You can do that. I believe it's not Clever Illusionist. It's Clever something from AFR. Clever Conjurer from or Kelpie Guide will do the job as well from Strixhaven, because they say tap, untap another target permanent. So you tap the creature, you untap Halo Fountain, you then tap the Halo Fountain, untap both the Mana Dork and the untapper, draw a card, do that, and you can draw infinite cards. So if you have some kind of follow up with that, you're golden.
I'm putting the bounty out for Strider. Strider, you need to win with 15 untap, tap, untap creatures.
You can make infinite mana too, right? Though, with what you're saying, Ham, because you can just keep tapping separate mana creatures and untapping them.
You have to have some way to untap Halo Fountain in the mix.
That's right.
You need to have a way to untap Halo Fountain. But in older formats, like add Paradox. I mean, just like
Paradox.
Like
Engine
so many
is
great
what I'm
combos, just
thinking.
add Paradox Engine, it'll be fine. But there are ways to take advantage of it. So I think the power of this card comes in those untaps. The fact that its first ability untaps tapped things, even if you're not creating infinite situations, but that's what the first place I go to, because if there's a way to create some kind of weird infinite Rube Goldberg machine, you better believe I want to do it. But just being able to untap a tapped 6/6 that you attacked with is pretty awesome. And there are cards like in Alchemy, the Gitrog monster, where your opponent can sacrifice a creature and you tap it. Well, this can untap it at instant speed and you can still swing with it. And it's a 6/6 for 4 because of that downside. It's like, well, we can get around that downside and you're still fine. And you get added value to boot. So, I mean, I think the card as an untapping engine piece is fantastic. And you get additional benefit on top of that. That last ability is flavor text. The chances of that actually happening are really slim.
Strider, this is for you. Strider.
Yeah, Strider Stone on
Twitch.
Twitch.
This is for you.
Huge shout out.
This is for you.
Yeah, we want to see it. We want to see that clip. Make it happen.
I know that he's going to.
100%.
Yeah, between you and or Strider Stone.
Or Ziggy. Ziggy Sawdust.
We can see Ziggy do it too.
I can see Ziggy.
One of three of you guys is going to make me eat my socks for winning this way. I swear. And if I lose to this friggin' untapping 15 creatures, something's gone fucking wrong.
Yeah, no, that's one of those, like, you lose that game and it's like, well, I'm uninstalling right now. I'm walking away. I'm out. Yeah, this is,
I'm literally like, I'm not even going to give you the satisfaction. I'm conceding.
We need to come up with a stipulation for you. If we see someone win with this on stream during a tournament, we have to find something to have you do. Because that's like the most epic, right? Someone actually wins like a match with this card, like with the ultimate. They're like, oh, I guess it's a stalemate. I just win. Untap my untap my 15 cards.
I guess like I guess like this is like a token mirror breaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like if you're like in Selesnya, like a Scoot Swarm mirror, where you're just like, yeah, okay, cool, we're going wide, kind of thing.
Yeah, where it's one of those things where, well, I have 100 creatures and you've got 98 creatures. Like, well, crap. Like, yeah.
This is the Angel Mirror Breaker, right?
Oh, this is the Angel Mirror Breaker too, as well, because you just have so much life. You're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, the other thing that I want to use this with is vehicles, because that's where you can tap your creatures without attacking them. Because with a vehicle, if it says crew 2, for example, you can choose to crew it with 15. You can tap 15 1/1s if you want to. Like, the game won't stop you.
You can attack, and then before damage or blockers, you just trigger this.
That's true. You could. Yeah.
But like I said, I digress on this. If someone out there wins by this combo in ranked, not against Sparky. Sparky is not your friend for this combo.
Oh, I've done some dumb stuff against Sparky that I know just doesn't count, because it's
Poor Sparky.
Yeah, that's fair. Poor Sparky.
Poor Sparky. Sparky gets the
roughed
work
up all the time. But okay, all right. Well, and this is one I'm going to see what I can do. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to see if I can pull it off.
Just everyone dancing in angel bathwater, no big deal.
Yeah, but the only problem is once you have 15 creatures, you're already winning. Like, there's in most situations. So that's the real challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it still has constructed potential. I'm not sure where I just feel like I look at the card, it does things, and it's a mythic, and I'm like, is it an EDH card or is it a constructed card? That's kind of where I'm at.
Mhm.
I think
It's
it's kind of
obviously
both, which
like,
is neat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what
I
I
just
find
think like,
interesting.
like Wizards isn't like dumb. Like there's a combo somewhere here that we're not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always feel I feel this way about all these like all the cards that they print. And you're kind of like have your head scratching. You're like, like what is this card? Like why would they print this? And you're like, oh, because it combos with something in an older format or whatever have you. So I mean, like, it's gonna go somewhere, and I'm gonna be pissed when I lose against it. I'll lose it. And if I see it in a tournament, I will be beside myself.
And I'll be jazzed. So hopefully we can be in the
I'll
booth
be pretty
together for that,
excited too. I'll be like, man, that was awesome. They just literally won the game.
Yeah.
Tapped the fountain and won the game. All right, so I think that card's like at least somewhat exciting, just because of how much there could be. This next card, not so much.
Yeah.
Talk about like holding us up for ransom here. This is essentially like a common for limited, but not even. Just maybe. Hold for ransom, a colorless and a white enchantment aura, enchant creature. The enchanted creature can't attack or block. It also has pay 7 colorless. Hold for ransom's controller sacrifices and draws a card. Can only be activated as a sorcery. A lot of the time we see these effects in limited don't do anything because your game most of the time can go that long. So later in the game, you're like, oh, I put this on their bomb. Well, I mean, let's be realistic. If you put this on their bomb turn 5, 2 turns later, they're probably just gonna pop it and then kill you with their bomb. So, this isn't, I don't know, not a constructed card, barely even a limited card.
Barely limited.
Yeah, barely limited.
I would have preferred they just reprint pacifism, frankly, like because
what's wrong with pacifism? Like I don't see
anything wrong with pacifism.
It's too passive.
Clearly.
Clearly. All right, so enough about hold for ransom. We don't want it to hold us for ransom here. Our next card we have is Illuminator Virtuoso. I am actually somewhat of a fan of this card. I think it's really good. Colorless and a white, a 1/1 human rogue. It has double strike. Whenever this card becomes a target of a spell or ability you control, it connives. First time we're seeing connive. Connive is you draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. There's different levels of connive, and there's also like different ways to kind of draw more cards off of your connive. But I look at this card and I just look at everything it does, and I'm like, man, this card seems really powerful. I'm looking at it more in like an aura deck or in like the Magecraft deck, essentially.
Yeah, so it's like this is Jeskai combo has Goldspan. Now imagine this. The Illuminator. Illuminator?
Yeah, Illuminator.
Sorry guys, English. Anyways.
It's all good.
Imagine like this card going you're going to attack and you're running off spells like you would with Goldspan. And they're like, you're expecting to get hit with Goldspan, and then you go show confidence on the Illuminator instead. Yeah. Not only you're basically gonna filter through your cards, because this is why I love Connive so much, is because you get to draw first. There's so many cards that say discard then draw, which is a real backside because you decide what you're discarding. But the fact that you just get to draw, see your whole hand, and go, okay, I don't need this. Draw your next card. Okay, I don't need this. It literally, it's a hand shaper at this point. Especially like with Show of Confidence, where it copies itself and just like rips through. Like this can get stupid big, and Show of Confidence already gives it a counter.
Right.
So you're getting 2 counters and a card.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And if you can take advantage of your graveyard in some situation, any situations like flashback cards or different reanimation shenanigans, this is gonna, Connive helps you load those up too. Yeah. So it's No, I think you're right. I think Connive is the real deal. I think that effect is going to be very powerful.
Connive is great.
It will put you in situations where you're looking at your hand and you've got 3 lands, and one playable that you really want to rip the next turn, and you ask yourself the question like, okay, how important is this card versus the +1/+1 counter? You know, like that's going to be a little bit of a tricky situation to navigate. And so as a result, I think connive is actually going to be a very skill testing ability, you know. So, but I think players who can know when to chuck the card for the counter and know when to hold them, and chuck the land, I think are going to be, you know, are going to be
You
able
got
to
to know
profit a
when to
lot.
hold 'em.
Know
Know
when to
when to
fold them.
fold 'em.
100%. That's exactly, yeah. It's all what it's all about. And you put double strike on a 2-drop. I'm listening because that's an
Yeah.
incredibly powerful ability, and it itself can grow if you just have anything that can target it. So that's fantastic. Yeah, I think this is great.
Yeah, this card could just kill you. This card could almost kill you on turn 3 if you play this
Mhm.
card, your opponent like foretells, you untap, you play 3 1-mana spells that target this, and the game
Homestead
pretty
Courage,
much feels
flashback
like
Homestead Courage.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like +2/+2, +1/+1, +2/+2. It's like, oh, I guess this is a 8/8, 16 you. It's like great job.
Yeah, and even
That's
like
brutal.
Yeah.
sorry to spell. Yeah, and it's a spell. I was
The
like,
shield
maybe
counter card we talked about, that card not
All of
being
a
that
sudden, that
good.
one has a home. Yeah.
But even just that card alone, like you target this, you get a shield counter, scries, it gets a counter on it. Like, yeah, I
yeah,
think
gets
that
a
we're gonna
counter
be
on.
seeing this card like a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this card's gonna be something.
Yeah, I
Yeah, for sure.
in case everyone doesn't know as well, in Streets of New Capenna, the theme is white has card draw, and that segues right into our next card here, which is Inspiring Overseer, 2 colorless and a white for a 2/1 Angel Cleric with flying. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, you gain a life and draw a card. This card isn't necessarily a constructed card in limited. I am first picking this over most things, or I'm picking this over most things. This card seems really strong. I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's a
in limited for
flyer.
sure.
It's
It's a
cheaper.
flyer.
It
It's a
gains
2/1.
life. It draws cards. Yeah, it's just a really strong card
It's
overall.
it's card neutral, right? Because you cast a card, you have a I guess no, you'd be up one because you cast a card, you have a body, and you get a card.
Yeah, it's the fact it's having the body, because essentially this card can trade with a card that the opponent has that they didn't get any value out of. So the fact that this card already replaces itself and has the potential to trade with something, or essentially put a clock on your opponent. Like if this card deals upwards of 6 to 8 damage, like this card's a house, right? It drew you a card and it dealt damage, like a substantial amount of damage. Like I think that this is definitely a card you're going to be seeing in limited quite a lot. I am already like a huge fan of it. Just looking at it, like, it's the type of card I love seeing. If you saw my book club draft, I think it was last week or the week before that I won. I won with the Boros Angel deck, and the
Yeah.
deck essentially had a lot of 4 mana 3/2 flyers. That was pretty much the ability. You exile a creature and you can pay 2 mana for it instead. But this card just screams with upside. It's costs cheaper. It flies. Still, it draws a card. It gains life. Like, this card just, man, I can't talk enough about this card. This card is just so strong for a common, right? Like, we don't see commons like this often.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing that we've had recently is Spirited Companion, which was a 1/1 for 2 that just drew a card when it entered.
Mhm.
And that was like a home run all-star in draft. And because it gave you a chump blocker and drew you a card. It was
Mhm.
also an enchantment, so there was something to be said for that. But I think you're right that Inspiring Overseer, the fact that it flies and has 2 power is a big deal. In addition to drawing that card, the 1 life might be relevant, but I think, yeah, in limited, this is going to be a house. This is possibly like the mythic common of the set. Like, that's going to be,
Definitely.
yeah, that's going to be a big deal for limited. I don't think it's going to see constructed play just because in white the 3-drop slot is already a log jam. There's
Yeah, it's
like,
just in
yeah,
constructed you won't really see it unless
yeah.
it's like a specific angels build.
Mhm.
Because you just like and that's the thing too with angels too. So there's not a lot of cheap angels. Like
True.
we just got the 2-drop angel. Was it the one that gets bigger with each angel, like with an angel that comes into play?
Mhm.
And now we got another 2-drop angel in Giada. So like angels are getting cheaper, but notoriously usually angels are like 4, 5, 6, 7 drops.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely just like a limited card. Like I said earlier, like, I mean, if I'm in white, it's gonna be really hard. Like, it's gonna be other cards that, yeah, they're bombs that I'm probably gonna take over this, but most of the time, I mean, I'm trying to fill my deck with like 4 of these because it flies. and it draws cards. Two of my favorite things in limited.
Yeah. Well, and I can, having seen, having poured through most of the set already, there are plenty of rares I would not be taking over this card. That's for sure. So
Definitely. So our next card is also another limited card here. Kill Shot. 2 colorless and a white instant. So 3 mana, destroy target attacking creature. This is on a Ganjo in standard. The land is already like 1,000 times better than this card. It has so much more upside. Even in limited, this card's too situational. If it said attacking or blocking, maybe you can make an argument for it. But the fact that it actually only specifically says attacking, I actually don't think that this. I'm not a fan of it myself. I'll say
I'm just
that
calling
much.
it. I'm just calling this Eminem, honestly, because it's the title of the song. It's an attacking creature.
Fair enough. Ham, how do you feel about it? Just limited card, right?
it's basically a limited card. It reminds me a lot of Expel from Strixhaven, which was like perfectly acceptable in limited, but didn't really see any kind of play outside of it.
Yeah,
so
this is even more situational.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's fine. And like in limited, if you're struggling to find removal and it comes up, great, take it. But yeah, I'm not building anything constructed with it.
Yeah, it's just definitely a low tier card. So our next card here.
I love this next card.
Yeah, speaking of which, okay. So we go from that card, right? Destroy target attacking creature. This card is almost the same card. Now, I'm going to read it though. Knockout Blow, 2 colorless and a white instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a red creature. This card deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and you gain 2. So, the thing about this card is that, yeah, it deals damage instead of destroying, but it also has the wording that I mentioned earlier about attacking or blocking. So that's one upside to it. The second upside is if you're targeting a red creature with this card, which a lot of the time red's going to be attacking, it costs 2 less. So essentially it makes this card only really cost 1 white as like a removal spell. So even most dragons, it's in red, it's probably going to kill. Most of them are 4/4. It's going to kill your gold span, things like that. The icing on the cake as well. Additional upside is it gains 2 life. A lot of the time against red, you want to be gaining life anyways because they're either burning you out or being quickly aggressive. Even against gold span, it doesn't hurt that you're gaining 2 life against it. So I actually think that this card is not main deckable, but definitely a sideboard card. Upwards of like 1 to 2 of. Or even in the right metagame, 3.
Yeah, and the fact that I love these kind of spells that the cost reducers into an effect. Like this also is like it's creature, so it's gonna hit like Den of the Bugbear.
Right. Yeah, can target lands.
For 1 mana. For 1 mana, it's gonna hit the Den.
True. It'll be after the Den's already created the 1 token, but that's okay. You can it's definitely worth getting it off the field.
Yeah.
I mean, post sideboard, attacking into 1 white isn't going to be safe, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like if you're running red, attacking in the 1 white is no longer. Now you have to think do they have it?
I'm telling you, losing Goldspan to this is really good value, right? Like if you're like a Izzet deck or more like a higher curve mid range deck, you're like, all right, yeah, Goldspan, and then you're just all right, kill it for 1 mana.
You only really want to target when it's blocking, not when it's attacking. Because you give them 2 treasures, right?
Yeah, I guess either way you would give them 2 treasures.
You give them 2 treasures.
But either way, it still kills it. I mean, it's still an answer for the card, even if you do give them 2. I mean, the fact that it's still just 1 mana. I mean, if your opponent wastes a counterspell on your 1 mana spell, you don't even care at that point because you're probably going to untap and do some more things. So, I just feel like this card. I don't think about older formats because there's better hate for red in older formats, but. I think for Standard and Alchemy, I think that this card has the potential to get played in sideboard, like I said earlier, upwards of 3 in Limited. Once again, it's just more too situational. It gains life, though, and it has the blocking text. So in Limited, because of those 2, I'm more likely to pick it, but I'm not more likely to pick it over, I don't know, the Angel that we talked about earlier, where you drew a card, gain life, and it has flying, things like that, where there's more value rather than just a situational removal spell. So our next card here is Mage's Attendant. I'm actually a really big fan of this card. 2 colorless and a white, 3/2 Cat Rogue. Whenever this card enters a battlefield, it makes a 1/1 blue wizard creature token with colorless, sacrifice this card, counter target non-creature spell, unless its controller pays 1. The first thing I like about this card is that it makes 2 bodies for the the price of 1 card. The second thing I like about it is it gives you a way to counter spells. If you're playing against control, if you're playing against mid range, you can counter their planeswalkers if they tapped out for it. It makes it so that your opponent playing spells is harder. They know that their first non-creature spell, if they're not targeting the 1/1 essentially, or trying to just blow it off, it's always going to be taxed for 1 extra.
Yeah, I definitely see this as a constructed sideboard card for mono white aggro, just because you can bring 3 of these in along with your Thalias against control. Be like, now your spells cost 1 more. Oh, by the way, now your spells are going to cost another 1 more because I have Mana Tithe on board.
Yeah, they won't even resolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want to board wipe me? Yeah, sorry. Like, your Doomscar costs 4 with Thalia, and then you're going to counter it for 1, so they need to have 5. And then if you have Redain out, then it's going to cost 7.
Oof.
Mage's Attendant out, it costs 8. Like, that's rough, right? Like,
yeah. So like, I definitely see this being a sideboard card for mono white to be like, I think this is the card that swaps out for Guardian of Faith. Even though Guardian of Faith is a is a flash threat that you can flash in and protect like your board, I think this is just as good, if not better, because you're essentially creating 4 damage instead of 3.
Yeah, the additional power is definitely meaningful.
Yeah. And it's counter target non-creature spell. So like, you can hit planeswalkers, you can hit instances and sorceries and enchantments and artifacts.
yeah, I really like this card.
Yeah, I definitely think this is constructed playable. I definitely think it's going to be a sideboard card for sure. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah,
Constructed card. You'll see it in limited. It's pretty much about it. It's on curve. It gives you an extra body. It's just very, very strong uncommon. Our next card, Mysterious Limousine, 3 colorless, 2 white vehicle, 4/4 crew 2. Whenever this card enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 other target creature until this card leaves the battlefield. If a creature is put into exile this way, return each other card exiled with this card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Are we taking a ride in the limousine, folks?
No, I think we can pass.
I would love to take a ride in an actual limousine, but yeah, not necessarily this one. I like the idea of this card way more than the actual card. Because the idea of a vehicle that O-rings something, like removes it from the battlefield when it enters is sweet. Like, that actually could go really far. But the problem is, when you attack, you can choose something else, and then whatever you first grabbed is kicked out of the limousine and comes right back into play. So if you're stealing your opponent's stuff to get them off the board, then if you want to steal something else, you have to give them something back. I don't like that. When I remove my opponent's stuff, I want it gone. And so the idea of just handing it back to them feels really bad. So where I want to see this is in a situation where I have some kind of threat on board on my side, or maybe like I have a Brutal Cathar that hit a token previously, and I play Mysterious Limousine, I exile my Brutal Cathar, let my opponent play something, attack with the Limousine, the Brutal Cathar comes back into play, I exile 2 things, and get 2 blockers out of the way for my other teams to get through. Like, that's the kind of situation that's kind of the best case scenario with this. And I don't know, it just is too many moving parts to be consistent, is really what it comes down to.
And it's 5 mana.
And it's 5 mana. Again, it's a 5 mana card without enough impact when it first hits the field. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think it's like, it's one of those cards. It's like, cool, if you got it, you got it, but you're not going on your way to draft this, to craft it or not. But this next card.
Yes.
Yeah, so essentially limousine, poor stay at home Yorion.
Yeah.
It's Yorion at home. And in a world where teleportation circle exists, why would you?
No, it's not even Yorion at home. It's a Yorion stay at home.
Exactly.
So yes, our next card is definitely a spicy one. We have Patch Up, 2 colorless and a white sorcery. Return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you get, if your graveyard is full of 0 drops, I guess you get all 3. I guess it's only 3, so you're maxing out. Never mind. I was about to say you can just get them all back, but that's probably why it's worded like that. I mean, this card is just. This card seems really good, right? Like, it seems
You
pretty
want
good.
to know why this card's fucking stupid? Do you want to know why this card's stupid?
Why is that?
Well, for all the reasons that you were commenting about the extraction specialist earlier, plus, but yeah.
Guys, what is the one weakness of Luris?
Can't bring back 3 drops.
Can't bring back 3 drops.
Yep.
This brings back Luris. That brings back another creature. Like
That's
in
so
historic,
gross.
like Luris running this in historic is going to be an absolute nightmare because killing
That's
Luris no longer means anything.
Yeah, and you're already running Kaya's Ghost Form to protect Luris, so your opponent has to have 2 kill spells. They finally pull that off, then you just hit it with Badge Up.
Or you give yourself a savior and your what's the core spirit dancer back?
Yeah, like it's just like this card is just so gross and historic. In standard, like it's already really this card is really good. It's like it kind of reminds me of is it Unearth? Except Unearth, I think is 1 mana.
Yeah, Unearth is 1 mana and it's any creature with mana value 3 or less.
Yeah,
Unearth is awesome.
Yeah, Unearth's pretty crazy.
This getting back a 3-drop is insane because, and it can come out of nowhere. Like say like you're dealing with mono white and you just board wipe them. You're like, okay, cool, I board wipe them. And then they go, okay, bring back Redain, or bring back Spellbinder. Look at your hand. Bring back Cathar, remove a creature. Bring back Skyclave Apparition, remove a permanent. Like this, I know I'm rambling off white spells, but that's just what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of all the ETB triggers of creatures that you bring back that are 3 or less. This card is nuts. I think this card is nuts. This card's nuts as a reanimator. Like, what reanimator spell do you have that we have right now in standard and in historic that is less than 4 to 5 mana?
Call the Death Dweller is the only other one I can think of.
We have the cat card. It's never late for dinner.
Stay away.
Never late for dinner, whatever. It's a white and a black, and then it has flashback, and it has the picture of like the spirited cat on it.
Right.
That was can't stay away.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
can't stay away. The only problem with can't stay away, and by the only problem I mean the glaring issue that prevents me from running that card in every deck I have, is that when the creature is returned, it exiles if it dies or leaves the battlefield again. Yeah, that's a huge drawback. But this isn't the case with Patch Up. With Patch Up, they're here, and if they die again, you can patch them up again.
Yeah, it's this card is I think is insane. I love this card. I think this is going to be like an Abzan Reanimator.
Yep, 100%. Abzan Reanimator wants this, and you can even make a case for mono white aggro running a couple of them for what you're saying, because there are so many great hits. Like, and if you don't want a Redain or a Spellbinder or another great 3-drop, you can grab up a Thalia and Hopeful Initiate. Like, yeah, that's not bad. Or an Usher of the Fallen and Intrepid Adversary and sink more mana into it. Like, you can get dumb with this.
Yeah, you can, and you can. It's just a matter of bringing bodies back, because it's up to 3 mana value. So. Say you had 3 1-drops. Now you put 3 creatures on the board.
Yeah.
Eye Twitch, Shambling Ghast, and another Eye. So 2 Eye Twitches and a Shambling Ghast. You're just like, all right, rock and roll.
Go fuck yourself. That was
and we're back.
Yeah. But it's like,
or actually in that
or whatever too.
Yeah, there's those cards. There's friggin' what else am I thinking?
Stick Fingers.
Yeah, Stick
Fingers.
In
Abzan Reanimator, Stick Fingers could be like a 9/9 that you could be pulling up with this, and get a 1-drop as well, just cause. Yeah, like that could get gross, and I'm here for it.
Like there's it's absolutely insane. The fact that you can bring back 3 1-drops.
Yeah,
so it can ramp you because like, sorry. So let's picture this. This is why I want to say mono white. Say you're running Intrepid Adversary, right? And we've all gotten those situations where. Shit, we just got fucking board wipe, top deck, fucking adversary. Okay, I'm just gonna make a big adversary, whatever. Okay, it's a fucking 5/3 adversary. Next top deck, patch up. So your creatures, your 3 1-drop creatures come in with 2 to 3 counters because of adversary.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, this card is has potential to get played in every format pretty much.
Yeah,
Any type of
this card's
smaller
nuts.
any type of smaller creature deck, you're gonna want to play this card. Yeah, I expect to see it. Honestly, it's when we're referencing cards to other cards, we're not saying it's directly this card. We're just getting like that type of vibe.
Mm.
And this one does give me the Luris vibe. Where the thing with
And
Luris
there's a cat
was,
in the photo.
yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
the thing with Luris was even if you reanimated one or two things, you potentially won that game just because you got value out of it. Sure, you
Yeah.
got to keep Luris around, and yeah, that card ate a removal spell. But at the same time, I mean, if this card, if I get a Blood Artist and an Eye Twitch back, my opponent probably lost the game because they thought that they got rid of my Blood Artist and they were going to stabilize, but now I can just use my Meat Hook to end the game in like 2 or 3 turns because I can just drain them out. So I really think that this card is strong. I think that we're going to see a lot of it in pretty much every format that's available on Arena. All right, so our next card is a rare. Has a keyword on it. First time we're seeing it today. Rabble Rousing, 4 colorless and a white enchantment. Hideaway 5. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So if you don't know Hideaway, Hideaway essentially does this effect where you look at the top X card of your library, you pick a card to put into exile, and then later on, whenever you do an effect, you get to cast that card for free. This one specifically is whenever you attack with one or more creatures, create that many 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. Then if you control 10 or more creatures, you can play the card exiled with this card without paying its mana cost. This one specifically, I think it's on the lower tier of the Hideaway. What do you guys say?
Unplayable.
Yeah, I think the Hideaway cycle's
I'll
neat,
be surprised.
but...
I'll be surprised if this is played. 10 creatures is a lot of creatures. Like, again, if you have 10 creatures, you're probably already winning.
Yeah, if this said 6 creatures, okay. Like, now we're talking. Maybe we can, like, that's kind of a reach that we can hit. But
yeah, like
yeah,
I
think 10 is
I would say like if this card said 6, if you control 6 citizens,
yeah, there you go.
Right, instead of just 6 creatures, if you can, that's fair enough because like you can always create a shit ton of tokens.
True,
but like you're winning. So what I feel like if it was like specifically said 6 citizens, then I think it'd be all right. But I just 5 mana. This is a legitimate 5 mana do nothing the turn that it comes out. Like and even like the next turn, you're kind of forced to attack in order to get that trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Not as strong of a card, so you might see it in constructed. I think it's really good in limited just because whenever you attack with cards, you get more creatures. So in limited, you're definitely picking this no matter what. And if you get to cast the card off of it, your opponent's probably just going to concede on the spot from how much value you've accrued. But in constructed, I don't really think that this card has too much of a chance, especially at the 5 mana slot. So our next card here, common for limited. Potentially, I don't even. I would say it's decent limited, but not anything to write home about either. Rafine's Guidance, 1 white, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. You may cast this card from your graveyard by paying 2 colorless and a white rather than paying its mana cost.
This is a historic card. This goes in auras.
You can play it in runes.
Yeah.
I think that you can play it in runes because it gives your rune deck an ability to kind of play an enchantment out of the graveyard where before you only really had a Kami. So Kami was recursive, but let's say you play this as a one of, you don't get to search for it, but later in the game you're still triggering your skulls, you're still triggering your visitors, you're still getting some value off of it,
I can't see this in runes because the big thing about runes is like runes are tutorable with the forge, right?
Yeah.
And the draw your cards when they come into play, yeah.
Yeah. So like I feel like they're already running their enchantments, but I feel like this goes into auras because it's already a 1 mana enchantment and you can cast it from your graveyard without having to exile cards like what's the card
from Theros Beyond Death.
Yeah, what's the Sentinel's Eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This one just does it without having to exile cards. So it's not as powerful as what is it? I think Sentinel's Eyes gives vigilance.
Yeah, it gives vigilance too.
+1/+1 of vigilance, right?
Yeah.
this one, you can just continually recur this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Unlike the escape where you have to pay cards from your graveyard, or even like when I first read this, my immediate thought was like, oh, it's flashback. Then I realized, no, you can do this as many times as you want, as many times
Yeah.
as is your graveyard, and that's huge. Like that could go a long way. The effect is very minimal, but on a 1-drop aura, if you have anything that can take advantage of those other things, there might be a home for it. This could be playable. I think you're right.
Yep, so mainly a limited card. Next card here, we have Rafine's Informant. I actually think this is a fantastic limited card. You're going to be seeing this quite a lot. Rafine's Informant, a colorless and a white. Whenever this card enters the battlefield, it connives 2/1. I think this card is just, man, I mean, yeah, give me some 2-drops. This card's great. It comes into play, you loot. I mean, what isn't to like about this card in limited? It even has the potential to have 3 power. Like, there's so many 2-mana 3/2s or 3 power cards in this set. It's kind of crazy. You guys kind of agree on that? Just a solid limited 2-drop.
Yeah, so limited. It's a limited card.
Yep. Solid limited 2-drop. I like Connive. I'm pretty high on that ability. I mean, I think most decks that would run Professor of Symbology would consider running Rafine's Informant. I think they kind of fit the same role.
Yeah, it's a really good point too. Actually, it's kind of has that
Yeah.
like a learn
got that vibe
type
to
of
it.
feel to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So our next card, I don't really think this card's playable at all. Refuse to yield, colorless white, instant, untap a creature, gets +2/+7. Yeah. I refuse to talk about this card. Let's move to the next card.
I feel like honestly, the reason why this card exists is because of the Jund spell,
Which Jund spell do you mean?
which does 7 damage. I think that's the only reason why this card exists.
It's all good. I'm not overthinking it. It's just
It's like
No,
I'm out. Get me the fuck out of this card.
yeah.
It's a bad
card
trick.
does
We can all agree. It's a bad
Yeah,
trick.
card
Yeah.
does nothing. Colorless and a white. Revelation of Power. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it has a counter on it, it also gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. Nah.
We can pass. We can pass.
Yeah. Just,
I want that to cost 1, and I'm still not playing it. Yeah.
Just meh. This card, though, I'm a big fan of this card. We went over this in one of our episodes of the early spoilers here. Rumor Gatherer, colorless, 2 white, 2/1, alliance. Whenever another creature enters a battlefield under your control, scry 1. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card instead. Yeah, I think this card is fantastic. I really like this card. Once again, white just gets a lot of 3-drops, so it makes it hard for you to like, it's going to be hard for you to deck build. Your deck building ability is going to be, going to need to be pretty good when you're making all these decisions. But yeah, I like this card. I don't know how much it could get played, but I think the ceiling for it's pretty good. It scries, it draws a card. How do you guys feel?
I tend to agree, but I feel like this is gonna go in Naya, right? Like this is about it. Like it's not gonna go in mono white.
Yeah.
It's not going in Orzhov. It's one of those cards that you look at and it's like this belongs in one deck and one deck only.
Green white too, maybe like a Scoot Swarm type deck.
Yeah, totally. Something that can flood like Scoot Swarm join the dance kind of situation that's gonna be flooding the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's where I see it too. I think Alliance in certain decks is going to be very easy to trigger. I mean, Scoot Swarm comes to mind just as the best way to just put an obscene number of bodies on the board really fast. And if you get one good turn with Scoot Swarm, Rumor Gatherer draws you a card and you basically Vampiric Tutor.
Yeah, you get to scry for almost like a lot of your deck.
You scry your whole freaking deck and you just pick whatever you want to be the top card. Like, that's bonkers. Yeah.
If there's infinite ways to have a creature come back and then keep sacrificing it, just like the old school Viscera Seer, Melira, Kitchen Finks combo, where essentially you just gain infinite life, scry infinite, then go hit the red cap, or you'd quarter calling for the red cap or something, then just draw the red cap or
this could be this could be in one little janky combo because you can do it in standard, but to what end? But you can do it in historic. Grape Shot combo because with Grin Angus and Bergie, you can infinitely do that. So you basically just scry through your entire deck to find Grape Shot, draw a Grape Shot, cast it.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Well, and there are a couple of other alliance payoffs that actually work with that combo for a kill shot, that you
Mhm.
can do. Rumor Gatherer isn't the kill shot, but it can be a good setup piece to help you get there. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, this card, it's okay. It's decent and limited. Like you're gonna get to use the ability. The stats aren't there, like per se, and the double white might kind of hurt you a little bit, but still decent and limited. A card that you're probably gonna want to take if you're depending on what kind of family you're in. And
Mhm.
constructed, this card has a high ceiling and a pretty decent floor, I would say already to begin with the fact that like we mentioned a few times already, it scries, it draws the cards, it does things that you want to do in constructed Magic. It's just whether or not there's going to be a deck that's going to be available for it, because the decks that exist don't necessarily want a card like this.
Mm-hmm.
So our next card here is actually a really strong card. Man, this card seems kind of powerful to me. Sanctuary Warden, 4 colorless, 2 white. It's a 5/5 flyer, Angel Soldier. Whenever this card enters a battlefield, it has 2 shield counters on it. Whenever this card enters a battlefield or it attacks, you may remove a counter from a creature or planeswalker control. If you do, you draw a card and you make a 1/1 green-white citizen creature token. This card does a lot for 6 mana. It's a mythic. It comes in, it protects itself because it has 2 shield counters, it has evasion, it's flying. Whenever it enters or attacks, it makes you more creatures and it draws you cards.
Mhm.
How do we feel about whenever we're looking at cards like this, is the 6 mana enough? Like, yeah, the 6 mana is enough for what the card's doing. In constructed Magic, though, do we see this card being played, even at what the value you might get?
I don't know, man. Again, it's a 6 mana 5/5. Like, there's plenty of other spells that I'd want to be playing at the 6 mana slot, even like Planeswalkers and stuff like that. Like, it's not like it has haste. I mean, it's a 5/5 blocker. Like, it has 2 shield counters. Like, it basically protects itself for two spells. Yeah,
Yep.
three spells because it protects itself. No, two
Yeah, it
spells
protects
and each
itself
other
twice,
creature.
then
Yeah.
they still need to kill it again.
Yeah, and even if you have no other counters on board, you could have it just have 1 shield counter and draw a card and get a citizen. So that's pretty nice. So it could
Yeah.
replace itself right away. So that's
But it's
nice.
it's again it's nice, I think, but it's a 6 drop.
Yeah, right. That's what it
It's
comes
just
down to, right?
yeah, like it's a 6 drop, and we all know like 6 drops have to be absolute friggin' bombs in
Yeah.
standard, historic, and in well, fuck, in historic you fucking if you're getting to the 6 drop, like I think you've already won the game,
Yeah,
have you
you should
not?
have probably already like won, or your
Well,
6 drop wins the game. It's like some crazy powerful
yeah.
card
Yeah.
Well,
that.
you've either won or you've played Divine Purge twice. That's the yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
um,
good point.
but so I think this card is decent. I want to be ramping into it. Is the thing.
Yeah,
If
I
I
was
if
thinking
I
of
have
Bant Ramp.
Yeah, if I'm doing it like a Bant ramp situation, then this is decent. Like when I'm looking at a 6 drop, like when I'm looking at like big creatures, like big dumb creatures, I want to find ways to get them out sooner than I should. And
Hmm.
I want to ramp into them, or I want to cheat them out with some kind of reanimator shenanigans or some other way, to like cheat them out of the battlefield fast. And so at the 6 drop slot, I think of ramp because that's much easier to attain with ramp. And
Hmm.
with this being an angel, Giada can help you ramp into her, so that's nice. I mean, that's only one additional, pip, and this is a 6 drop we're talking about. So you need more than that. That's not going to be enough. But I think that could be a piece of it. So who knows? I do think a Bant ramp angel situation might be doable if we get the right pieces together. Um, or even just
Agreed.
you're just Selesnya. But yeah, when I see 6 drop, I think ramp. If I see 7 or higher, I think reanimator is generally my metric there. So I want to ramp into Sanctuary Warden. If I'm already ramping, she could be a great payoff. If I'm not ramping and I'm waiting until 6, I got to be running hard control. And at that point, I'd much rather be holding out for a hull breaker or something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
Yeah.
that's
a
getting
really
my
great
microphone.
point.
Yeah,
All right.
so that's my thought.
So our next card here. Oh, this card makes me cry. Sky Crier. 1 colorless and a white. 1/1 flying lifelink. 3 colorless and a white. You and target opponent each draw a card. This card did not get the memo that white was getting good card draw. So next card.
Yeah.
Also,
So next
also,
card.
Sky Crier. and it doesn't scry. What the hell? Anyway,
Poor Crier.
I know it's like it's right there, man. Come on. Anyway.
So our next card, we have Speakeasy Server, 4 colorless and a white
we can
flying.
pass.
Whenever this card
We
enters
can pass, we
battlefield,
can
you gain a
pass.
life for each other creature you control. It's a really good limited card. I'll be playing this limited.
Yep.
That's about as far as it goes. This is actually another limited card, but I actually think this is on the medium to upside. Swooping Protector, 3 colorless and a white. Flash, already like it. Flying, I like it even more. When this card enters a battlefield, with a shield counter on it. It's a 2/1. I don't necessarily like the stats on the card, but the fact that you can, in limited, you can put a situation, maybe your opponent makes an attack that seems good. You come in, you swoop on in with the Protector. You make a couple good blocks. All of a sudden, they're down good cards. And then now you have a 2/1 flyer that can get in for some damage in the air. Other than limited, it costs 4 mana. Not a constructed card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a constructed card. It's what you put in that slot that you really wish was the Wandering Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
But in this limited environment, that'll probably do the job. Yeah.
Yeah, just a nice little sneak attack. And once again, it's a 2-for-1 type card or more where it comes in, has a counter, it's a creature, it flies, it's going to block something, maybe kill something on the way. So, yeah, card's great. Hey, thanks so much for watching. That concludes our set review for the color white of Streets of New Capenna. Definitely stay tuned for the rest of the review of the set. As well, this coming Sunday, we have a set championship qualifier for Streets of New Capenna. It's only $6 to enter. It's got cash prizes, gem prizes, and the qualifier, of course. So definitely check that link in the description below. Hearsay and Hammer, where can we find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/HearsayTTV, Monday to Thursday, Monday, Tuesday in the mornings, and Wednesday, Thursday at night.
And you can find me twitch.tv/hamhawks42 Monday through Friday, starting around 7 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to about 11 most days. And I'm also I have my own YouTube channel as well, hamhawks42.
All right. And as always, I hope that you all stay cheesy. See you next time.